Old school Japanese RPGs aren't quite as abundant as they used to be, but that's not to say there aren't titles still being made that draw upon the 16-bit classic RPG era, and I Am Setsuna is one of those games. Originally released at the beginning of last year on PS4, the game finally makes its way to Nintendo Switch, allowing us to play the title both as a home console game and on the go, without needing multiple versions of it. It's clearly a key selling point of the Switch, but in converting the game to Nintendo's latest console, what compromises have been made, and how well does the experience stack up to the PlayStation 4 version? Hey everyone, this is Dave here, and in this video I'll be taking a look at I Am Setsuna on the Nintendo Switch and comparing it up against the PlayStation 4 game. While the game isn't a technological powerhouse, it does have quite a striking appearance. It's clearly intended to be a throwback to the 16-bit RPGs and even a few role-playing games that appeared on the early 128-bit era, such as Grandia 2 on the Dreamcast. As such, while the visuals are indeed somewhat simplistic, there's a lot of charm and personality in the title, and it looks rather good from that perspective. There are also some nice little touches here. For example, when walking through the environments, the characters leave trails when shifting through the snow. And you can also see the warm air expelled as they breathe when exploring these cold environments. These aren't particularly outstanding visual features by any means, but these little touches do help to immerse us in the game world. So with that in mind, what are we looking at? Well, on PlayStation 4 it's a native 1080p image running at 60 frames per second, kind of what you'd expect for a game of this type. As a top-down scrolling title, the use of 60 frames per second ensures that motion is consistently smooth, and the use of a 1080p resolution means the game appears rather crisp on a Full HD TV and is likely to upscale pretty well at 4K as well, due to the fairly simplistic visual style. Moving on to the Nintendo Switch version, and we're also looking at a native 1080p image with the console docked. And from a visual perspective, the game matches up really closely to the PS4. In fact, it's the same assets being used here, and effects work, so textures, particles, all of the core visual features are effectively a match for PS4. In some scenes we do notice a few differences in lighting. An additional light source on PS4, but nothing truly dramatic. And overall the Switch version looks basically pretty much identical to PlayStation 4 when running in docked mode. There is of course one visual difference here, as you've probably noticed by now watching the video, and that's in terms of frame rate. While PlayStation 4 delivers at 60 frames per second, the Switch version is running at 30 FPS instead. I guess it's kind of an expected trade-off for keeping the visual quality pretty much the same. Rather than downgrade the visuals in order to hit 60 FPS on Switch, the developer has made a somewhat wiser choice in selecting 30 FPS for this game while keeping the visual quality high. It's a turn-based RPG, so higher frame rates aren't really required to enjoy this title, although I will say that traversing the environment does appear visibly smoother on PS4. This is a top-down RPG, and as such there's a lot of lateral movement, and this is one area where the Switch can appear a little jerky. For the most part, frame rates never actually drop though, so at least it's a consistent 30 FPS without any frame delivery issues. There is an occasional frame rate drop on both PS4 and Switch, but this seems to be isolated to certain changes in the menu, particularly before or after certain cutscenes play out. It doesn't impact on the overall experience, and while you're actually playing, we're looking at locked frame rates on both platforms. So while the Switch version in docked mode doesn't provide quite a smooth experience on PS4, it's perfectly fine to play, and the good thing is that performance is stable, which is exactly what you'd want. But what about portable mode? Well, here the resolution is cut back to 720p, but this actually works rather well on the handheld. We're looking at a 1:1 pixel map with the native 720p resolution of the Switch's display, so there are no problems there. The game appears very sharp and pretty clean when running on the handheld. Performance also looks to be very smooth as well. Now, it's impossible for us to measure this accurately, but having played out a couple of sequences such as exploring the village and engaging in a few combat encounters, the experience at least looks to be locked to 30 FPS for the beginning areas of the game at least. Overall then, I think I Am Setsuna is a generally decent conversion on the Switch. While some people may be disappointed that the game isn't running at 60 frames per second, with this type of game it's clear that an ultra high frame rate isn't really required, and it's nice to see that visual quality isn't really compromised in other areas. A few lighting differences in some scenes aside, this is effectively the same visual experience on both platforms outside of the frame rate. And one key benefit is of course the ability to play on the go and then switch back to playing on the TV. Of course, if you're looking for the definitive home experience, then naturally the PlayStation 4 version is the way to go, as the 60 FPS update does provide smoother gameplay and a more polished presentation. But ultimately I enjoyed playing this game on both platforms and there really isn't much to complain about. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed this analysis, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. As usual, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.